Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, where we decode the corporate jungle for you. Today we're diving into a filing from Albany International Corp. That might just be whispering about a major change. Get ready because things are about to get interesting. Albany International Corp is a company that makes engineered components and materials. Think about things like aerospace parts, high-performance textiles, that sort of stuff. So, what is new in their latest report? Well, it seems like they've been having some important conversations about a part of their business. Basically, they are looking at different options for their structures assembly business. This is a big deal because it could mean selling off all or a part of one of their facilities. Specifically, they're talking about their Amelia Earhart Drive facility, also known as the AD facility, located in Salt Lake City. This is not just a casual chat. They're actively exploring what to do with this part of their company. To figure out the best way forward, they are bringing in experts. They are picking someone to help them financially and are building detailed financial plans. They might even decide to sell the entire AD facility as one package. They haven't said how long this whole process of figuring things out is going to take, which tells us they are being thorough and not rushing into anything. Now, who is showing interest in this potential sale? It is not other companies in the same industry, meaning strategic investors, but rather private equity firms. These are investment groups that often buy companies, try to improve them, and then sell them later for a profit. The fact that they've already received more than 10 inquiries from these firms suggests there is quite a bit of appetite for this business. It is also important to remember that this exploration of selling the AD facility is happening alongside other discussions. They are talking with their customers about changes to existing contracts. The goal here is to help balance out rising costs, which is a smart move to make sure the business remains attractive, no matter what the outcome of the strategic review is. So, what is the potential financial impact of selling this facility? Albany International Corp expects that if this sale goes through, the adjusted EBITDA margin for their Albany Engineered Composites business segment will be somewhere in the middle to high teens. Now, adjusted EBITDA margin is a way companies measure their profitability. Think of it as their operating profit before certain expenses like interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. A margin in the mid to high teens means for every dollar of sales, they expect to keep about 15 to 19 cents as operating profit. This gives investors a clearer picture of the business's ongoing ability to generate earnings. Now, let's talk a bit about this adjusted EBITDA margin. It is important to understand that this is not a standard accounting measure, meaning it is not directly reported according to the usual accounting rules like generally accepted accounting principles or GAAP. However, companies use these non-GAAP measures because they believe it provides a better view of their core business performance, stripping out things that might not reflect their day-to-day operations. In this case, they define it as earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, and then they remove any costs or gains that aren't typical or expected in the future for their business. It is a way to show the underlying health of their operations, separate from one-off events or specific accounting treatments. When companies talk about the future like their expectations or plans, these statements are called forward-looking statements. They use words like believe, expect, intend, estimate, anticipate to signal these. It is crucial for investors to know that these statements are based on current expectations and that actual results could be quite different. There are many risks and uncertainties that can affect the future, and companies usually list these out in their more detailed reports. Albany International Corp is being upfront that their future performance might not match these future-oriented statements. And finally, to wrap up the formal side of this filing, we see the signature of Willard C. Station, who is the Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer. This confirms that the information provided in this report has been reviewed and approved by a high-level executive within the company. It is good to see the Chief Financial Officer putting their stamp of approval on these disclosures. Now, let's take a step back and look at what this all means. Albany International Corp is actively thinking about reshaping its business by potentially selling off a significant piece. This shows they are focused on optimizing their operations and perhaps sharpening their strategy. The interest from private equity suggests that this AD facility is seen as a potentially valuable asset, even if it is not fitting perfectly into Albany International's long-term vision as it is. The mention of an expected adjusted EBITDA margin in the mid to high teens is a key piece of information. It gives us a benchmark to evaluate the profitability of the remaining Albany Engineered Composites business after a potential divestiture. For investors, understanding this figure is vital to gauge the health and future prospects of that segment. However, there is always a flip side. Exploring strategic alternatives can create uncertainty while they aim to offset cost increases with customers. Market conditions can always change. The fact that they are not providing a specific timeline for this process also means that investors need to be patient and prepared for a potentially lengthy evaluation period. Overall, Albany International Corp seems to be making proactive moves to manage its business portfolio. The company is exploring significant changes, and the market will be watching closely to see how these strategic decisions play out. Are they shedding an underperforming asset to focus on core strength, or is this a sign of deeper issues within the structures assembly business? Only time and further filings will tell. Alright, that is our breakdown of Albany International Corp's latest filing. What is your take on these strategic shifts and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.